The room was white, not off-white, not cream, not eggshell, pure, sterile white. It surrounded him, suffocated him with its blankness. The air itself tasted sterile, devoid of any scent or life. A single steel table pierced the monotony of the room. Upon it sat a terminal, its screen dark, a black rectangle in the white void. The man sat before it, his posture stiff, his hands clenched in his lap. He wore a simple white jumpsuit, his name tag absent, his face devoid of any distinguishing features. He was a blank slate, a canvas yet to be painted. The room offered no clues, no hints of its purpose. It was a space stripped bare, reduced to its most primal elements. The man felt a tremor run through him, a primal fear of the unknown. He was alone, trapped in a white box with only a silent machine for company. He looked at the terminal, its black screen reflecting his own empty face. Suddenly, the screen flickered to life. A single line of text materialized, sharp and black against the stark white. Define yourself. Choose a symbol. The man flinched, his eyes widening as he read and reread the words. Define himself. What did it even mean? He looked around as if seeking an explanation from the empty room. There was nothing, only the cold, sterile white and the pulsating cursor at the end of the prompt. A wave of dizziness washed over him. He felt a pressure building in his chest, a knot of anxiety tightening in his gut. He was adrift, unmoored, unsure of which way to turn. The prompt, so simple yet so profound, echoed in the silence of the room. His eyes darted across the keyboard, searching for an answer, a way out of this white prison. He hesitated, his finger hovering over the keyboard. A single key, a single symbol felt impossibly heavy. Finally, he made his choice: pi. The symbol for pi, an irrational, infinite number. It seemed fitting somehow, a reflection of the chaos he felt inside. As he pressed the key, the screen flickered violently. The white walls pulsed, the air shimmering around him. A high-pitched whine pierced the silence, setting his teeth on edge. For a moment, he felt a sense of vertigo, as if the room itself was tilting, the floor shifting beneath his feet. Then, just as suddenly, it stopped. The whine died down, the walls stilled, the air cleared. But something had changed. The symbol on the screen was no longer pi. It was now a distorted, fragmented version, the familiar curves twisted into sharp angles, the clean lines broken and jagged. It was pi, but not as he knew it. He stared at the distorted symbol, a cold dread creeping up his spine. The room, once just sterile, now felt oppressive, charged with an unseen energy. The walls, once solid and immutable, seemed to breathe, their whiteness pulsing with a faint, sickly light. He pushed back from the table, his chair scraping harshly against the floor. The sound echoed in the silence, sharp and dissonant. He needed to get out, to escape the suffocating confines of the room. But as he stood, he realized he had no memory of how he got there. There were no doors, no windows, no visible exits. He was trapped. He ran his hand along the wall, its smooth, cold surface offering no purchase. The air grew colder, the faint hum returning, this time laced with a low, intermittent crackle. His heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the suffocating silence. The terminal beeped. On the screen, beneath the distorted symbol, a countdown had begun. 10 hours. 10 hours until what? The numbers glowed an ominous red, their digital edges sharp against the white. The hum intensified, vibrating through the floor and into his bones. It was a low, persistent drone, a constant reminder of the countdown ticking away. Fear, raw and primal, coiled in his gut. This sterile white room was no longer just unsettling, it was a countdown clock to an unknown terror. He slammed his fist against the table, the metallic clang echoing in the silence. He needed to think, to understand, but the relentless countdown, the humming, the pulsating walls, chipped away at his sanity, leaving him raw and exposed. The shadows in the room began to move. They stretched and contorted, no longer bound by the usual laws of physics. They danced, independent of any light source, twisting and turning with an eerie life of their own. One shadow, larger than the others, peeled itself from the wall. It slithered across the floor, a dark, amorphous blob, and wrapped itself around his ankle. He cried out, kicking out, but the shadow held fast, its touch cold and unnervingly alive. This wasn't a simple absence of light. This was something else, something sinister. Panic welled up inside him, choking him. He thrashed against the shadow's grip, his breath coming in short, panicked gasps. He had to break free, had to escape this nightmare. He thought of the symbol, of his choice. Pi. Irrational, infinite, a number that never ends, its decimals stretching on forever. Was this room, this countdown, this shadow, a reflection of that choice? Was he trapped in some infinite loop, condemned to relive these 10 hours over and over again? The thought sent a fresh wave of terror through him. He struggled harder, his mind racing, searching for a way out, a solution to this impossible equation. He had to understand. He had to break the cycle. The countdown continued its relentless march, the numbers ticking down with agonizing slowness. He was running out of time. He closed his eyes, trying to block out the humming, the pulsing walls, the feeling of the shadow's cold embrace. He focused on the symbol, on the concept of pi, irrational, infinite, unending. What did it mean? What was the connection? He needed to look beyond the symbol, beyond the surface, to the underlying truth. There had to be a reason, a logic to this madness. Suddenly, he understood. It wasn't about the symbol itself, but what it represented, the choice he had made, the definition he had given himself. He opened his eyes, a new resolve hardening his gaze. He would not be defined by fear, by this prison of his own making. He would choose again. He looked at the countdown, now under an hour. The shadow tightened its grip, a silent warning. But he wouldn't be deterred. This time, he would choose differently. The screen flickered. The countdown continued. The room waited.